it makes me imagine or wonder what was that like, the game, the final that was played at the 2010 World Cup, where you're on the bench, right? And it's getting late in the game. I'm sure you're wondering, am I going to get any time on the pitch? To go from that level of frustration is what I imagine you were feeling, to then being the guy that sets up the winning goal and wins the World Cup for his country. It has to be such an intense swing of emotions.
So anxious, because it's the final, you're on the bench. There were 3 changes, not 5, like now. So we are all on the line, as you can imagine, on the bench. And there is this fitness coach that we were all looking at him when he stands up and he comes walking and he goes like, you. And then he comes walking, you.
That's terrible.
It's like, it's a year of your life that you spend. You lose a year of your life thinking, hey, come on, point at me. And I was one of the last ones, and he keeps walking. And he says, and you warm up. So it was Navas, Fernando Torres, and myself making the assist in the last couple of minutes of the final, winning. It's one of the moments that I felt so much proudness and peace inside of my body,
peace
of my soul.
Peace is interesting. Why peace?
Peace because I gave everything. I gave everything, and I was in peace with myself to know that from having missed this tournament and giving up to working so hard, keep believing, having the resilience and the mental strength to, even in the toughest moments, being there, to then winning the World Cup and having a big impact in the final. I felt a lot of peace, and this rarely has happened in my life. Football, it's my passion. The moment I cannot do it the way I like it, there's no point.
You're watching Kickin It, presented by Modelo.
Okay, welcome everybody to Kickin It. Good to have you with us. Good to also have with us former Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea star, World Cup winner, Euros winner, now rising star in football management, Cesc Fàbregas. Thank you for having us here at your home in Como. This is such a special place. When you come up to the stadium, you kind of feel like you're very much still in the middle of a community. And then you get to be in rooms like this, which belong to the stadium, but are just totally unique in football. How special is it to be part of a project like this?
It is pretty special because we started basically from floor 0, from the ground floor, and even -1 that I always say, and seeing the club growing, how the people that they had a lot of disappointments, in Como, and the fans, etc., how they are starting to believe that something special is going on, and the owners, the president, and everyone is so much on board on what we're doing. Since last year, starting working after a year with the team, I kind of felt that the potential of the young players and how I wanted the team to play and how I see the club growing in the future, we looked more into investing to young, talented players, that will come here, because this is a club very young, and we are all young staff, young president, and we're all very hungry. And we're all very excited, and me, I'm a young manager that has a lot of energy, and I need young players that will follow my demands as a team and our style of play.
Do you get a work-life balance? Like, do you get to actually enjoy this beautiful region that you live in, or not really?
Not really. I mean, I try my best because I have to take care also of another very important part of my life, which is my family. But it's true that if I compare my life as a player and what's been going on the last 2 years as a coach, you can't compare it really. But it's true that as a coach, you feel responsible for every single situation, for every single thing that happens, for the good, for the bad, especially for the bad. And it's 24/7. As a player, you lose, you win, you get disappointed, but then you go home. You kind of switch off.
Why do you want to do it? It sounds awful.
Good question. No, it's passion. I mean, I always said it. Thank God I had a really beautiful career where I don't do this for money. I don't do this because I need it at this part of my life. I do it because it's my life, football. It's my passion. It's something that you need to feel inside. You need to feel the fire. I love my way of thinking about football, and this is my fire and the things that keeps me going every day.
You went from playing straight into management. I would have thought having had as long a career as you did, that a break might have sounded nice. Was there never any part of you that thought maybe I need a time out from football to kind of still have the love for football, or you were just happy to go straight into it?
Well, that's what I kind of promised my wife, that I would have a little break. Then I didn't manage to do it. I was just so hungry. I felt so convinced that I wanted to be a coach. I had everything in my head. I was already preparing for the last 4 years before I retired. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And you know, when you feel so excited about something and you get an opportunity straight away after you finish your career, I took it, not knowing the demands of the job. You can have kind of expectations, you know, you've had a lot of coaches, you see that every time you go to the training ground, they are there. You are injured, there is a day off, they are there. So you are a bit of, okay, is this how it works? But you never really kind of understand it until you are, you know, in that position. But again, I love it. Everyone supports me in the family, so I'm good for now.
You talked about kind of like the shift in philosophy, I guess, of the club and turning to kind of investing more in young players because that fits with kind of the route and the trajectory that you guys are on. Nico Pass is a great example of that young player who came in and has been so successful for you. Is part of what you enjoy about the job pouring into other young players the way that you had great managers who poured into you?
Yes, 100%. I was involved and I was super lucky. Having Arsene Wenger. I remember details of how he worked with me, with the young players, with Philippe Senderos, with Clichy, with Van Persie, etc., that it stuck into my head. And the more the years were passing, I understood that if it was not for him, probably I wouldn't have started the career the way I did, or maybe I would have had the career that I had at the end. So I value this a lot, and I, of course, try to bring certain values. I try to push them a lot for them to understand that either you work this way or it will be very difficult, even if you have the biggest talent in the world, to succeed at the highest level, because the demands nowadays, the amount of games they play, now you have to be super proactive. The way we play, it's very energetic. We need to press, we need to run, we need to recover the ball straight away after we lose it. Then you need to make the difference when you have it. So it's really, really complex. And I feel that the young players nowadays, you need to be on top of them quite a lot to make them understand what type of life they need to live.
You feel like they need more instruction than you did as a young player?
They have more information, but they need more repetition in their head that, hey, remember, you have to do this. Remember to be top player. You need to eat well. You need to prepare. You need to focus. You need to defend, because nowadays, you know, you bring players from other teams and they come here. Wingers, for example, they don't track back, or they are 10 minutes very good, and then 30 minutes you don't see them. There is no consistency in the play. One day they make a mistake and it's like the end of the world. They are so scared to fail, and I feel that.
Do you think that's because they feel so publicly exposed?
It's possible. It's possible, or because when they were little, they told them they were so good. No, but it's true. It happens sometimes, you know. There are players that they come from really big academies, that they win 10-0. They're used to winning. They are used to telling them how good they are. Now, they come here or they go somewhere else where the level needs to be a little bit higher, and you need to perform week in, week out, or every 3 days, like sometimes it's happening to us now. And they struggle. So yeah, you need to keep pushing them and making them understand that to be a top player, you need to raise the standard to the maximum.
But you came from such big academies, right? At La Masia and then at Arsenal. So do you feel like you were treated, was your generation treated differently, educated differently in football? Maybe. Harder?
Yes, a little bit harder. But on the same time, I would say, and I put my career at the beginning as an example, I was very lucky, and I always say it, because as a 16 years old, when I was brought up at Arsenal, I had Thierry, I had Patrick Vieira, I had Robert Pires, I had Sol Campbell, I had Martin Keown, I had Ray Parlour, I had Dennis Bergkamp. That if I make any mistake,
group, right?
if I make any mistake, don't worry about it. I will be told the way it is, you know. So that helped me so much.
Thierry's very direct, isn't he? I love that about him.
Yeah, he's very direct, but always in a good way, you know, because
he wants the best for you.
Yeah, I felt so protected by them, and they were straight, but they always showed me the way things were supposed to be done on the pitch, behaviors off the pitch, you know. I was not really told, but I could feel, okay, if these guys who are the invincibles, who are doing these amazing careers, this is the way, or this is the way, you know, things are meant to be done, then I have to follow what they're doing. And, you know, thank God that I was listening, and they were the best examples for me. Nowadays in football, you know, there's no trust in the young players because the coaches feel that if they make mistakes, they will be out, which is true as well at the same time. And this is why I'm so thankful to be in a project like we are, because we identified where we want to go, who we want to be, how do we want to do it. And with the young players, this is our way.
I know you haven't yet experienced the same level of success in management as you did as a player in terms of titles, right? But you have had a lot of success at the club. The club, you know, has gone back up to Serie A, exceeded expectations last season, finished 10th, just a couple of spots off of Europe. So you have had a lot of success as a manager. I think a lot of people are looking on and thinking very highly of you. How do you enjoy success differently as a player, as a manager? Does it feel different, or is it all the same thing?
It's a good question. Everything about managing and playing, it feels different straight away. As a player, you're younger as well. And I feel that everything that's said about you can have a bigger impact in a positive or in a difficult way. Sometimes you don't want to listen. My experience now is that you have to listen to everything that is said. Not press, not critics, not everything. I'm just talking about people surrounding you. You know, you listen more. You don't listen so much about as I said, what's being said on the press or fans that want to, you know, put you down. You know, as a player, I think it affects you more. You know, me as a coach now, I'm more relaxed this way, but I feel the pressure of delivering always what's best for my players and for the club. I feel I have a huge responsibility. I feel I'm in the middle of an amazing project. I feel the pressure in a good way because I want to win and I want to make everything that is right. And for that reason, you know, you have to have your mindset very clear ideas, very sure of what you're doing on the good moments, on the not so good moments. And after that, see where this takes you. But I'm very confident that we are on the right pathway.
Do you feel like you need to be liked to be a good manager?
You need to be liked.
By the players?
By the players, yes. In a way. Of course, it's impossible to be liked by 25 players. That doesn't exist. I wish there was a solution for that, magic, poison, whatever, but there isn't. You need to convince the players that what we are doing...
They need to believe in you.
Yes, they need to believe that what we are doing, what we're working on is the right way, and this will bring us success in the future. And yeah, as a coach, the tactics are super important. I'm a fanatic of the tactics. I work a lot, but convincing and have a method where the players are all feeling identified with what we're doing. I feel this is the most important because I always say, if you have one player that don't believe, then it becomes two players, then becomes three players because, you know, the negativity in a dressing room spreads and you have to be very careful with that.
If we could go back to kind of your start in football, because I'm sure that informs a lot of who you are as a coach, because you had such an elite education in football, right? La Masia, the Barcelona Academy, is so highly thought of internationally. How old were you when you joined there?
Barcelona?
Yeah.
8.
You were 8?
Yeah.
Did you ever live there?
Yeah, 1 year.
Okay.
My last year before going to Arsenal.
15 or something?
15, correct.
Okay. What's that like? I guess from the outside, you never know what that must be like. Are you totally free? Do you feel unsupervised? Like, how does that go? What's life like?
You see, this is a question that not a lot of people ask, but it's super interesting because for me, when between 8 and 14, 15 years old, I was living with my parents in my hometown, and I used to go up and down with a taxi. The school finishes at 5. There was a taxi waiting for me straight away. And my parents always told me, if you don't have good grades, then you cannot play football. So this is something that was very clear in my family since early age. And I managed to do that. It was tough because I remember going to sleep at 2, at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because the exams were getting higher and higher, more difficult. Until at 14, 15, I saw that it was not possible to compete with the demands of the coaches, of being at Barcelona, because at Barcelona you are playing for your future every year. You don't have a big contract or a higher contract until you are 16. But then you can sign, let's say, a more professional contract. After that, you are fighting for your future every year. At the end of the year, they will tell you, you continue or you don't continue. You know, so if you don't do well on the pitch, you don't perform, you're out. And this is the pressure that you have to live with since a very young age, plus the pressure that you have daily with your parents about being good at school, having good behaviors, etc., etc. So I have to say that my experience changed a lot to a negative way, in the sense that I went there, and after having 7 years of discipline, no time for anything, to be living with your friends, I said, wow, I used to work so hard, now here it's so easy. And I regressed. I didn't have good grades.
Oh, wow.
I started to behave, and I did something in school, for example, that I was not really, really proud of. And I kind of changed, you know, because everything became too easy. I felt maybe, oh, now I made it or whatever it is. And it was a hit of reality at the end of the season. Arsenal came knocking. They offered me something pretty special as well at the time. I went to London, I met with Arsene, I met with Steve Rowley, with David Dean, and they convinced me that this was the best project for me to continue my life. My mom was so happy. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because she saw that I was, something changed in me, something happened, and I can learn English, I can compete. Arsenal were growing and growing under Arsene, you know, so much. So in the end, took the right decision, now we can say that.
One of the things that's interesting to me, because you're going to England at such a young age, right? And that could be a culture shock, I imagine, in some ways. It's so different to where you grew up. So I did the reverse. I moved to Spain. I was 17, though. I moved to Spain. And I stayed with a host family, which I'm assuming is what you did, too. Yeah. Which, for me, was this incredible kind of awakening to, like, food culture and how different that can be. I remember I ate, this sounds weird, but I ate fresh fish for the first time. I'd eaten, like, fish fingers, but I'd never had freshly cooked fish. I'm wondering, you going the opposite way, what was your experience of English culture?
And it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Then I always cooked the fresh fish. Then I went to London and I started the fried fish. Opposite than you. I didn't like it very much, fish and chips. But the culture, it's true that it's a shock. You know, like you're mentioning, you are doing things that you are not used to it. And that in a young age, you need to adapt. And most of the times there are players, there are persons that they don't adapt, you know, that for whatever reason, they are not ready at that moment to compete at a certain level. It can be football, it can be studies, it can be work, whatever it is, and we all need our time. But normally, the most successful people are the most mature, the one that listens, the one that accepts mistakes, the one that when they make a mistake, they always want to get better, the ones that they don't accept a no in a good way. You know, you are on the bench, they tell you are not good enough, it doesn't matter. You are resilient, you have the character, you have the personality, you have the ambition, the passion to succeed, and any obstacle that you face, you will bring it down and you will make it happen. That's how most of the most successful people that I know is from young age. And
which is what Arsene must have seen in you, because you became a regular first-team player by, I think, age 17, right? So you made it really young. I think fame at any age is difficult. How's fame as a teenager?
I didn't really mind. I was so hungry to be the best that I was competing against Patrick Vieira, against Gilberto Silva, World Cup champion, Edu, Ray Parlow. I mean, if I go to sleep 1 second, or if I think I am better than what I am 1 second, I'm done. I didn't have time to enjoy fame or anything. I didn't go to London. I didn't have visitors except my parents and my sister, and that's it. I was so hungry for success that nothing could touch me, nothing could distract me. That's what I wanted. I went to London for a mission, and I was ready to do anything to be a football player.
Which I think you were successful in, right? Because you became one of the most coveted young players in world football at that time. Do you look back on those Arsenal days as your best days in football?
Probably. Probably. I don't know if the best, but the most... Happiest maybe, yes, because when you are young and stupid, that I always say, you're young and stupid, you have no fear for anything, so you just go for it. And I remember one time, I say young and stupid, I Colo Touré in a 50-50 ball, I tackle him on the floor, and then the next time I look up, I was flying because he tackled me from the back as well. So you do little things that you compete because you have no fear. You just go for it and say, no, it doesn't matter who I'm playing against. I want to show the coach that I'm ready to, I'm here. Just to see if he... But nowadays, it's different because the social media, the attention, now you score 1 goal, they give you an amazing contract. I went there with a very low contract. I had to earn. I used to train with the first team, but then all of a sudden, Arsene will send me to play the FA Youth Cup with the under 16s
so it keeps you
17.
grounded.
So I will have to go. Then nowadays, I speak with the physical coach, for example, no? And if they play with the Primavera, some of the players, and then the next day I want them to play with the first team, no. They played the day before, physically, they are not ready, they have to rest this. I remember Monday night, we used to play with the reserves, okay, which was I don't know if you heard, but the reserves were like a difficult game because you were playing against Wolverhampton, for example, and there would be Paulins playing in the reserves game, or Canu used to play with us sometimes, or Sol Campbell coming back from an injury. So you are playing against, old players, let's say, men, physically much stronger than you. So every Monday, there was this league, and Arsene used to come and watch the game. He was really good at this because the young players, we could feel that, okay, he's watching us, and you want to deliver even a better performance. And the game was at 8. Finish at 10, you go home, you have dinner, etc. So you have the adrenaline of the game, you go to sleep 1, 2 o'clock. In the morning, in the Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, I was training with the first team. No rest, nothing, and I had played the whole game in a body of a 16 years old because I was still not grown physically. And now, this made me tougher. I don't know, it's difficult to explain, but now the players are becoming softer. They are becoming a bit more spoiled. Oh, they did this, they cannot do this. Before it was more, come on, you have to work, you have to prove, you have to be, always with the right impact to show your value at any point, And I felt the hunger that I used to see with the young players to succeed. Nowadays it's more, you need to push them. You need to push them. Hey, don't go to sleep, wake up, do this, do that. Behaviors, hey, now you're late 2 minutes just because you scored 2 goals, because you played the one game. No. Now this is past. You need to look forward. You need to look for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Because in football, the time you go to sleep, there will be someone, I say football in life,
waiting to take your place,
at the top level, ready to compete, and will bite and will pass you.
So one of the big narratives around the Lamine Yamal situation, I think, I remember certainly a couple of times last season that we talked about the fact that he's so young. Is he playing too much football? How will he be able to sustain that? Is that damaging for a player that young? Do you just think that's nonsense then?
I think so. I understand that you need to take care of the players, 100%. There is much more information now than what we used to have before. But you need to live the moment, and you don't know what will happen in 3 years. Maybe the intensity of the game is faster now, but before it was more physical. So there is the difference there. But at the same time, I believe that you need to be ready to compete every single game. And you need to show the resilience, even if you are young or you are older. I don't believe in resting too much, because the better players, they're always ready to play mentally and physically.
If we go back to Barcelona again, because we spoke about Lamine Yamal, in terms of his ceiling, do you see him as, you played with Messi, do you see him as kind of this generation's new Messi? Is that the kind of level that you would give him? Can you judge that at this age?
It's difficult to judge so early. What we can see, even my grandmother can see that he is a special talent. Definitely remarkable. I will never compare anyone to Messi, never. For what I've seen since 12 years old to today, and today he's still making the difference, and maybe now they win the MLS, etc. But let him grow, let him take his time, let him get his experiences. He already won 1 Euro, being one of the best players in the Spanish national team. I would say give him time to develop, to grow, but definitely special talent.
Continuing on your time in La Masia, obviously Lionel Messi is one of the names that everybody talks about, who was a product of the academy. You came through kind of around the same time. Were you there before him, or did he come in after you?
He came at 12. I was there 2 or 3 years before him.
Okay. Do you remember when he first arrived, and did he make an immediate impact in terms of everybody knowing this is kind of that once-in-a-generation type player, or did that come with time?
Yeah, no, straight away. I remember the first day he came, because he sat right next to me. And they told us that there is this boy coming from Argentina making a trial, and he'll be with us for a couple of weeks. But yeah, he had immediate impact, because he didn't speak a word. He was super shy. He sat down. We were a good group, I have to say, in that generation. And after that, on the pitch, he started talking straight away, very, very fast. I always tell that story, that there was 1-against-1 situations, and at the beginning of the training, and I was quite good defending 1-against-1 at that age. After, when I grew up, not so much. But when he was facing me, you see a small boy, because he was really, really tiny. He came straight up to me, and straight away, with the speed that he came at me and the control of the ball, you definitely, at the beginning, the first second, you said, wait, this guy, something is wrong. Because normally you take a touch, it's a bit heavier, or you take it with the right, and you know straight away what he's trying to do. With him, he had the ball stuck to his feet. He was coming at a speed that is not normal. And then straight away, I fell on the floor. I tried. He did the typical feint that he goes to the right and he goes to the left. I went on the floor. And since that moment, I started to say, hold on a second, this guy could be special. And after that, of course, because he was not so big, some players, some opponents were taking him on the floor a little bit. Sometimes, I remember one day, after 20 minutes, he scored 3 goals. They started smashing him on the floor, and then the coach changed him. Things like this used to happen, but then after at 15, 16, he kind of grew up. He made himself really, really strong, and that was when Leo started to be a proper machine, because he was unstoppable. Before, because of his physique, you could put him on the floor, you could punish him, in a way. Then when he got stronger on his legs, there was no way back.
Obviously, I think, one of the highlights for any player is a Champions League season and a Champions League campaign. And with Arsenal, you came so close to kind of the ultimate glory, which is winning the Champions League, and ended up losing in that final to Barcelona. How crushing was that for somebody like you, who's as competitive as you are? How did you deal with that?
That was tough. That was a moment of learning. We had an amazing season. Last one at Highbury. And yeah, losing in Paris was tough, but very proud of the team, because we played with 10 men. I don't know if you remember, Jens Lehmann got sent off. Then we scored. We had one big chance with Thierry, to make it 2-0. And then, you're playing against a great team. It was a tough one to take. And it made me appreciate a lot of things now again, having said later, because I was only 18. And I said to myself, it doesn't matter. I will win it again. I'm very young. I will win it for sure. Now, 20 years later, I tell you, I never won it. And it's the only thing I never won as a player. So enjoy the moment. That's what I always say. Enjoy the moment and never think that, it's okay. Try to make it today, because tomorrow you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. What about this current Arsenal team, obviously playing under another young up-and-coming manager like Mikel Arteta, who I'm sure you know as well from your days at Arsenal. How much do you enjoy this version of Arsenal, and how successful do you think they will be? Do you think they will win the league title? Do you think they will win the Champions League?
Do I think? Yes, I think they will. Will they do it? Of course. Again, it's a long season. Premier League is so competitive. Champions League, there are some top teams. But they've been building, no? They've been strengthening the team, creating a really, really strong squad, because it's not just a strong team now. This is a really, really strong squad where you lose Odegaard and you have Eze, you lose Saka, you have Madueke, and it's something that before maybe Arsenal were lacking in a way, when there were injuries. So in my view, after 6 years of building and creating this strong squad, I do think this is the year. I watched basically all the games, and they are very strong. They're very strong. I don't see them dropping a lot of points this year.
If we talk about you moving to Barcelona, which you did at the end of your time of Arsenal, I guess you moved back to the club, which is your childhood club, the club that formed you. It's the club that your family had supported for generations, the region that you had grown up in. It had to feel like such an idealized situation in some ways. How do you look back at that Barcelona time? Is it bittersweet?
You mean after in the first team when I came back? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen, that was my dream, to play for Barcelona. If it was the right time in that moment to come or not, because I still think that I would have gone back to Barcelona either way, if it was that moment or before that they already tried, or after. It was about choosing the right time. I believe a lot in timing in life. And listen, we will never know if that was the best time or not. But what I do know is that I felt that with the team that they had and my ambition, I wanted to prove myself at the biggest stage with the biggest players and the better players in the world, and that was difficult in a way. I don't like to use the word difficult, but it was challenging, because all of a sudden, from being the Arsenal captain and playing every single game, and the fans singing my name and being
a favorite,
treated really like so nice. I mean, so nice. I don't think I've ever been treated even better than those years. Competing against Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Leo. Then there were other players like Thiago Alcántara or Pedrito, Alexis Sanchez, which were other type of roles. But I wanted to do it just for my own self, to say, okay, I've done it here, I won the World Cup here, I proved myself here. Can I now do it against the best players in the world? After that, it was my generation, because Piqué and Leo, we played together since we are 12, with Gerard since I'm 9, etc. So there was a little bit of something inside as well. I had won the Euros and the World Cup with Xavi, with Busquets, with Iniesta, with Puyol, which were friends of mine. And it was a big challenge that I wanted to try. It was right, wrong, I don't know. But it was a dream come true. And for me, that's good enough.
Oh, I like that. I read that I think your first game at the Camp Nou was with 9 months old with your grandfather. So did you get to have a moment wearing the shirt where you saw your family in the stands? Was there like a cool moment for you where it kind of felt like you had come full circle and you got to give them this gift of seeing one of their family members in the shirt?
I don't know if we can call it full circle, because the way I think, there is always more. There is
Okay.
always a better way. So I'm never satisfied with anything. This is a weak thing or a good thing that I have, but I'm never satisfied.
Both, maybe, yeah.
Ever. So, but it's true that I remember that moment when I had the presentation at the Camp Nou with Barcelona, my first day. After we passed the medical, we did the presentation, and there were 35,000 people at the stadium. In the second row, basically, it was all full, the stadium. And then on the first row behind the bench, there was my whole family, like 50, 60 people. And seeing my parents, my grandparents, my sister, my uncle, my aunt, everyone around there. It was a moment of proudness, because we were all Barcelona fans since forever, like you said before. And it was a moment of, yeah, okay, we're here now, ready for action, you know, but very beautiful moment to see all my family there.
And then you get the opportunity to go to Chelsea, offered by José Mourinho, another great in management. Was it specifically José Mourinho who convinced you to go to Chelsea the way it was Arsene who convinced you to go to Arsenal, or how did that work?
Yes, that's exactly how it worked. I remember we lost the final game of the season against Atletico Madrid in 2014, and that game decided the La Liga. Okay, if we had won that game, we would have won La Liga. If we drew or lost at the Camp Nou, Atletico Madrid won, which is what happened. After that, they, yes, I did receive a lot of criticism, and I felt that it was, every time Barcelona lost, it was on me, on Alexis Sanchez, on David Villa. You know, it was always these 2-3 guys that were always punished for a defeat, you know. And after 3 years, I felt that I needed a change. There was a time for other challenges. I opened the door, and a week before we went to Brazil for the World Cup in 2014, I was in London, because normally you have 1 or 2 weeks break before you meet up with the national team. And I spoke with my agent, and I said, what is there in the market? Before that, Man United called, Man City, and Arsenal, and Chelsea. But Arsenal had a buyout clause, buyback, no? For the same price that Barcelona bought me for. I spoke to the president of Barcelona, Anzu Bizarreta, and even though they were, no, you have to stay here, you have to, you know, there's a new coach coming in, and let's see how it goes in pre-season, etc. I made already in my mind clear that I needed to go somewhere else, another challenge. And that day, in a Saturday afternoon in London, I met Quique Begiristain, and 2 hours later, I met José Mourinho, you know, Man City and Chelsea. And it's true that after meeting with both proposals and having left the meeting with José, I looked at my agent and I said, that's it. That's where I want to go. Because Arsenal didn't take the clause. At the beginning, when I was going to leave, I thought I'm coming back to Arsenal. That was my thought and what I expected at that moment. But when I spoke to José and I saw the refusal of, not the refusal, they just didn't come back. They had a week. Arsenal had a week to respond, you know, to take the option or not. They never came back. They stayed quiet. So there was only one way and one choice, and that was Chelsea and José Mourinho, because he told me everything that I needed to hear at that moment of my career, and he made it happen.
What does that mean? What did he make you feel?
He made me feel that I was going to be so important, that I was going to be one of the leaders of the team. He told me that the players that were going to join with me, the club, he was so convinced that we were going to win the league, which after it happened, he explained me the role of on the pitch, off the pitch, that he needed from me. And the way he says it as well, you know, which is very, very important. He convinced me, you know, in certain moments of life, there's people that come into your life and gives you this type of, I don't know if the correct word in English, but stimulation that you need. And he definitely, used it in a very positive way.
I know it's not like going from Arsenal to Spurs, it's totally different, right? But I'm assuming as a player, you probably disliked Chelsea when you spent those years that you did at Arsenal. When does that switch for a player? If you then move to that club, how does that adjustment happen?
Yes, I dislike Chelsea very much. I always said it, and all the fans, they know. I mean, and after I said it was one of the best decisions I took in my career, because the way I was treated there, how many trophies we won, 5 trophies in 4.5 years.
Very successful.
The fans were outstanding with me, outstanding. I couldn't be more grateful. We had a great feeling, connection straight away. But of course, I'm very competitive, and when I was the captain of Arsenal, you dislike all the London clubs. You want to win, and I remember there was this competition against Mourinho's Chelsea with John Terry, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba. They were an amazing side, and it was this challenge always to try to overcome them and compete against them, which was tough at times. But after that, of course, as I said to you, when Arsenal didn't come back on the option, I was 27 years old. I thought this was the best move footballistically for me, because this is where they believed in me. This is where I was going to play the football that I thought suited me the most, and where I wanted to win the Premier League, because this was a dream of mine. And I ended up taking the decision. I'm coming back to London. I have my family. For us, London is home. And I ended up taking the decision, you know, something that maybe 5 years before was unthinkable, was impossible. Life shows you once again that it can turn out to be funny, because you make decisions that you never expected it.
Right.
But as I said, football, I understand the Arsenal fans, I understand everything, because it's normal when you are from a fan base. And me, being Arsenal for many, many years, of course, disliking Chelsea, a higher word for Tottenham, I would say, more than dislike. Joking, but yeah, this is how it turned out to be, and again, in the end, it was a good decision.
Having had that kind of influence on your playing career with Wenger, Guardiola, then Mourinho, at a national team level, you had Aragonés, you had Del Bosque, so you just had elite managers in world football. Who do you think has influenced your style of management the most, or have you really just taken it from the best parts of everything that you saw with everybody?
That's the beautiful thing, that I was brought up in a certain way, which is the Barcelona way. And then I molded myself into every single thing that all the coaches were asking me during my career. Because Arsene Wenger was, yes, good football, but very vertical and very fast. You know, I remember at Highbury, we are defending our own box, and 2 seconds later you see Thierry scoring a goal. Also because it was a bit of a tiny pitch, but we were super vertical. We recovered the ball and we fly. Then with Guardiola, it was more tactical, more possession-based, again, going back to what I was used to all my career. With Conte, it was more of a system football, robotic football. I say robotic because he was telling us everything that we had to do, A, B, C, D, where you need to pass the ball. So he gives you other mechanisms that you never saw before. So I learned from that. From Del Bosque, for example, I see the management more than the football, because it's not like we worked so much in terms of tactics of football or the way he wants to do this or that. He was not so much detail, but the man management and the game management that he used to have was outstanding, always taking the right decisions. Then with Mourinho, how to play with the brain of the players, how he convinced me that I explained to you before, how he takes the best out of here, how he squeezes you here, how he motivates you and challenges you from this side. And he's top, you know, by doing this. And his methodology in training was quite impressive. But as I said, sometimes now when I go and I like to talk to a lot of managers, I see myself more open-minded than some, because others were brought up, let's say, in a way, and you can see that whenever they speak only about this way. But when you open another door, it's difficult to enter, and thanks to all these coaches and having played under so many ways, type of way, and winning, because at the end what convinces you the most is that, okay, you do that, maybe you don't believe it in it at the beginning, but wait, you win with this. And then you go back and you said, oh my God, I won with this, but doing the completely opposite thing, we also won with that, and this makes you believe that there is not one way, that you need many times with your philosophy, with your idea, with your model, to adapt to the players that you have, and with all the cocktail, mix it up and try to be successful and get the best out of the players. But as I said to you before, convincing is the most important thing in football.
I guess that what that means is that your style of football could evolve depending on the group of players you have and kind of how football changes, or what you think is necessary to win at any given time. If you were to kind of describe your principles of football, though, like your style of football, ideally, could you do that?
I could do that easily, but at the same time, I see that inside these principles, every day, football moves so fast. But it also depends on the type of players. How we were playing in Serie B, for example, and we were very successful without wingers. But I love football with wingers, and for example, now we kind of spend, in the market, big money in wingers to make the difference in another way. But we did it playing 4-2-2-2 with the wingers, and we went to Serie A with this system, but always with the same principles and convincing the players that this is the best way. For example, when I took over the team 2 years ago, this was a team that it was a 5-4-1, very defensive, and trying to play counter-attack and trying to find this long ball to the striker so he holds it and then the team come out. I don't believe in this football, but I don't believe in it because I never played this way and because I wouldn't know how to train it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, what I always say is that the players are not stupid. The players are too smart. They are always 2 steps in front. And if you say, oh, we're going to do this, but they feel that you don't believe in it, the coach first, then you're dead. Because that's when you are starting, they feel disrespected, they feel that they don't trust you anymore, and that's when the pieces start to break.
If I asked a player of yours, tell me about your manager, what would they say?
Oof, I don't know. I think honesty. I try to be honest. I'm tough in a good way. I think they would say, I'm trying to find the word in English, but it doesn't come out in Spanish. Exigencia.
Demanding.
Demanding, bravo. Demanding, I'm very demanding. I like respect. I like to create a culture around the training ground, very positive, with ambition, with work, with determination, respect, I already said it, but yeah, I think demanding and honest, I think would be the 2 words, because I work a lot on that, and so especially belief.
Like
belief. Everything that we're doing needs to be on belief. If not, you go to play against Inter. If you don't believe that you can make something, then I prefer not to go.
Can we talk to you about the national team as well? Because obviously you had such success at that level. Won the World Cup 2010, won the Euros in 2008, 2012. It was this incredible golden generation that Spain had in your era. Do you think that this current generation is a golden generation as well? Would you describe it that way, or is that too high? It
looks like it. It looks like it. I love this team. I try to always watch their games because they are so superior, they are so dominant. They do everything well. They have top talents, young players, hungry players, humble players. So far, I love what they're doing. I know it's still early, but again, they are very young and a long way to go.
I guess the peak of any national team career is winning the World Cup. It doesn't get any bigger than that. I'm not sure it gets bigger than that in football, period. For you, just having kind of got to get a window on how determined you are, how hungry you remained at all points of your career, it makes me imagine or wonder what was that like, the game, the final that was played at the 2010 World Cup, where you're on the bench, right? And it's getting late in the game. I'm sure you're wondering, am I going to get any time on the pitch? To go from that level of frustration is what I imagine you were feeling, to then being the guy that sets up the winning goal and wins the World Cup for his country. It has to be such an intense swing of emotions. What do you remember about that day? What stands out to you?
Yeah. It's funny because how you remember things when it happened and now, 15 years later, you think about things in others' perspective. But I remember that tournament, I remember that moment. Going back, and I am proud because I showed a lot of resilience. I broke my leg in a Champions League game, kicking a penalty against Barcelona. I was 3 months out, and I struggled to make the World Cup. I had doubts at some point. I worked really hard to come back. Thanks to Mr. Del Bosque, he believed in me a lot. He kind of, maybe now, with the new generation and how the new coaches think that, hey, whoever is best now in this moment plays, etc., I wouldn't be going to the World Cup. Going back into the semi-final, the 2 days before training, Fernando Torres made the shot in a mini game, in a small side game that we were playing. I put my leg up, trying to block the shot, and it hit me straight where I had the injury. And I was limping for nearly 48 hours. I went to do a scan. Thank God it was nothing. It was just the hit. But and I was getting back into the tournament. You know, I was feeling good. Semi-final, I couldn't play it. And then we go back to that moment where it's so anxious because it's the final. You're on the bench. There were 3 changes, not 5 like now. So we are 23.
Right.
That means 11 are playing, 3 are coming on. 9 don't play and 3 come on. And the tension was incredible because we were 0-0. They had a couple of chances. It was a 50-50 game. And there is this fitness coach that every time he did the same ritual in the second half about the players that are going to warm up. You know, so we are all on the line, as you can imagine, on the bench. And there is this fitness coach that we were all looking at him when he stands up and he comes walking and he goes like, you. And then he comes walking, you.
That's terrible.
It's like, it's a year of your life that you spend. You lose a year of your life thinking, hey, come on, point at me. And I was one of the last ones, and he keeps walking. And he says, and you warm up. So it was Navas, Fernando Torres, and myself. And then I'm sprinting like an animal on the side, warming up, excited. And happening what happened, you know, making an impact. I nearly score in the game, making the assist in the last couple of minutes of the final, winning. It's one of the moments that I felt so much proudness and peace inside of my body,
Peace
of my soul.
Peace is interesting. Why peace?
Peace because I gave everything. I gave everything, and I was in peace with myself to know that from having missed this tournament and giving up to working so hard, keep believing, having the resilience and the mental strength to, even in the toughest moments, being there, to then winning the World Cup and having a big impact in the final. I felt a lot of peace, and this rarely has happened in my life.
We mentioned Thierry, and I just want to ask you one more question on him, because obviously I've met Thierry at an older age, where he's more in his, you know, sophisticated coaching era. You met him as a young man, as a player, in the dressing room. What was he like? Do you have anything you could share about who Thierry was in the dressing room?
No, Thierry was special character. I never told him that, but I respected him so much that I was scared of him. Okay, I was so scared because he was an idol, he was the leader, but inside of this guy that was so serious and was a winner. Two guys that in my career I thought that they were complete winners. One is Leo Messi. I've never seen someone with that winning mentality. And then the other one I would say is Thierry. But then again, inside the dressing room, when there were times I remember him dancing in the dressing room. I remember him making some jokes. He would always bring these games that maybe he can tell you more about, where you have the dices and you have to, I don't remember exactly, but with the French players, the other cup, and you have to you have to kind of lie or something like that. And I used to play with the big boys. And I was there always so scared, but he was always with me. I have to say, only thank you. Only thank you, even today, for how he's treated me, how good he made me feel. Now he will know that I was a bit scared of him, but not anymore.
Congratulations on your leadership, all your success. It's so
Thank
good.
you so much.
I appreciate
Thank you.
you. Thank you.